Pay attention to this security camera footage. June 7th, 2024, 7:12 p.m., Kingsbridge, North Carolina. A residential CCTV camera mounted above a detached garage captures exactly 19 seconds. You see a man in his early 80s, thin silver hair, wearing a brown cardigan, carefully stepping down from a back porch. He moves slowly like every stare is a negotiation. Behind him is a woman, 34 years old, wearing charcoal scrubs with a name tag that reads, Janelle. She doesn't rush him. She doesn't grab him. She just stays close like she's done it 1,000 times. At 7:18, he stops, turns toward her, and he pulls something from his pocket. It's small, a box. Janelle's face changes instantly, like her brain can't process what she's seeing. He says something we can't hear, and then she covers her mouth with both hands. And then, right there, in front of the garage camera, he opens the box. Janelle starts crying. He reaches up, wipes her tears with his thumb. Then she leans down and kisses him. Not a polite kiss, a real one. The kind people do when they think no one is watching. At 7:31 p.m., she takes his arm, and together they walk inside. This is the last time Janelle Brooks is seen alive. 8 days later, she's found in a place she never would have gone willingly. And most people think this is about a romance that went too far. Wrong. This is about a receipt, a ring, a rewritten will, and a family that decided love was a threat they could remove. June 15, 2024, 6:22 a.m. A sanitation worker finds a purse in a drainage ditch near Old Mill Road, 3 miles outside Kingsbridge. Inside, Janelle's wallet, her ID, her work badge, and her keys. No phone. Police run her address. Her landlord says she hasn't been home in a week. Her job says she never showed up for her shift on June 8th. Her friends say something worse. Janelle never disappears. She was the kind of person who texted home when she got in. The kind of person who reminded other people to drink water. The kind of person who stayed late at work so the next shift didn't suffer. So police treat it like what it is, a missing person case that's already behind. Then a detective asks one question that changes everything. Who was she caring for? And the answer points to a man with money, a man with property, a man whose family had already been circling the inheritance like vultures. Harold Kessler, 82 years old, widower, retired contractor, worth around $3.6 million in assets. And the last person seen with Janelle was Harold. Harold wasn't always fragile. He built half the decks and sunrooms in Kingsbridge. He had hands that looked like they could crush wood into dust. Then in October 2022, Harold fell off a ladder on a job he refused to stop doing. He survived, but his hip never healed right. He went from independent old guy to man who needs help in a single season. And that's when the visit stopped. Harold had 3 people left in his family. Evan Kessler, his son, 53. Diane Kessler, his daughter, 50. And his grandson Carter, 27. In the first month after his fall, they checked in. Second month, less. Third month, almost nothing. Not because they were evil, because Harold wasn't useful anymore. And Harold knew it. When detectives later collect his notes, scribbled in a spiral notebook by his recliner, one line is underlined 3 times. I became furniture. They walked past me like I was part of the house. November 3rd, 2022. Harold hires part-time help through a local home care service. They send a woman named Janelle Brooks. Janelle is 34, born in Raleigh, moved to Kingsbridge after her mom died. She wanted to be an RN. Life didn't let her. Bills, grief, responsibility. So she took the faster path into caregiving and became the person families trusted when they couldn't be present. On her first day, Harold barely speaks. He sits near the window, TV off, staring like he's waiting for someone who already decided not to come. Janelle doesn't ask him what medication he takes. She asks him something else. What's the one meal you miss making? Harold looks at her like no one's asked him that in a year. He says, chicken and dumplings, my wife's style. 2 days later, Janelle shows up with groceries. She sets everything at counter height so Harold can help. Slowly, painfully, from a chair. When they eat, Harold doesn't cry loudly. He just stares at the bowl, and his face collapses. Because it's not about food, it's about being treated like a person again. Over the next year, Janelle does what good caregivers do, but she also does what lonely people recognize immediately. She brings life back. She learns Harold likes old jazz and plays it during physical therapy. She finds his late wife's photo albums and sits through them without rushing. She takes him to the hardware store, because Harold misses choosing his own screws and bolts like that matters. And slowly, it does. By early 2024, Harold starts standing a little straighter, smiling a little more. And then one afternoon, February 2024, Harold says something that sounds like a joke. "You know, Janelle, if I was 30 years younger," Janelle laughs, shakes her head, tells him to drink water. But that night, according to a text she later sends a friend, she writes, "I think he sees me. Like, really sees me." Because the truth is, Harold didn't just love her care, he loved her. And the terrifying part, Janelle loved him too. Not for his money, not for his house. For the same reason a lot of people fall in love. Because someone finally felt safe. Now here's where the story becomes a countdown. June 1st, 2024. Harold buys a ring, not some flashy celebrity stone, a modest ring from a local jeweler in town called Kingsbridge Gold and Loan. He pays with a card he doesn't realize is still connected to a family account. A family account his son Evan monitors like a hawk. That same evening, Evan sees the transaction, a jewelry store purchase, several $100s, and Evan's brain goes to one place. He's being played, because when you already planned your inheritance in your head, anything that threatens it feels like theft. Evan calls Diane, Diane calls Carter, and suddenly, after months of silence, Harold's family finds time. June 3rd, 2024. Evan shows up unannounced, and he doesn't come to ask how Harold is feeling. He comes to inspect. He sees Janelle in the kitchen, putting away dishes. He sees Harold smiling, not patient and caregiver smiling, something else. Evan doesn't even try to hide his disgust. He says right in front of Harold, "Dad, this is inappropriate." Harold's face hardens. He says, "You're here now?" Evan tries to talk about boundaries, about manipulation, about gold diggers. Harold lets him talk. Then Harold says one sentence that ends the conversation. "You didn't visit me. She did." Evan leaves angry, but he doesn't leave defeated, because the next step isn't yelling, it's paperwork. June 5th, 2024. Harold meets with his attorney Marvin Halloway. It's private, no family invited. Harold is evaluated for competency because Marvin knows exactly what families do when money changes direction. Harold passes, clear, lucid, focused. Then Harold changes his estate plan. He reduces Evan and Diane's shares dramatically. He leaves Carter a small amount, and he leaves Janelle Brooks, $2.1 million the house and the remainder of his assets. But Harold adds something else, a clause. If any family member is found responsible for harming, threatening, or conspiring against Janelle Brooks, directly or indirectly, then their inheritance is void and the estate goes to charity. It's not emotional, it's strategic. Harold signs it, legally solid, done. Harold thinks he has protected Janelle. He does not realize the real danger starts when people learn they're losing, because Harold's attorney has an assistant, and that assistant is Diane's friend from college. June 6th, Diane gets a call, not from Harold, not from Evan, from someone who shouldn't be involved. A friend whispering, "Your dad changed everything, it's going to her." Diane doesn't sit with that, she detonates it. She calls Evan, Evan calls Carter. And that night, all three meet at Evan's house for the first time in years. Not to talk about Harold's health, to talk about the money. Evan says what they're all thinking. If this sticks, we lose. Diane asks, "Can we challenge it?" Evan says, "It'll take years," and he's not incompetent. Carter stays quiet longer than the others. Then he asks the question that makes the room go still. What happens if she isn't there to collect? No one answers immediately, because saying it out loud makes it real. Evan finally responds, lower voice, then it reverts. Diane's breathing changes. She's scared, but she doesn't leave. And that's the moment you realize something. This isn't a crime of passion, it's a decision. Now we come back to the footage. June 7th, 2024, 7:12 p.m. Harold is on the porch. Janelle is behind him. The ring box opens. Janelle cries. A kiss. 19 seconds of love that will later be played in a courtroom to prove something important. This wasn't a caregiver taking advantage. This was a relationship, and Harold's will wasn't confusion. It was gratitude. At 8:05 p.m., Janelle leaves. We know this because Harold's doorbell cam captures her stepping out and waving back through the window. She gets into her car and drives off. She is seen one more time on a different camera. A convenience store CCTV about 10 minutes away. She goes in. She buys two things, a bottle of water and a pack of gum. She walks out, and she is never seen again. When Janelle doesn't show up the next morning, Harold assumes she's sick. By afternoon, he calls her. No answer. He calls her agency. No answer. By night, he's panicking in a way only someone dependent understands. Not just fear, helpless fear. Police question Harold. He tells them everything. The relationship, the ring, the will, the confrontation. Police bring in Evan, Diane, and Carter. They show up calm. Evan says he stayed home that night. Diane says she was working late. Carter says he was out with friends. No obvious cracks, no confession. And for a moment, it looks like Janelle might become one of those missing persons cases that fades into posters. Until detectives trace something small, the purse in the ditch, and the fact that her phone never shows up again. That's not running away, that's removal. The break comes from the one thing people forget about modern life. Everything leaves a trail. Investigators subpoena phone data. They don't need to read messages at first, they only need patterns. And here's what they find. Evan called Diane 6 times in the 24 hours after the will changed. Diane called Carter 3 times that same night. Carter's phone goes dark for 46 minutes during the exact window Janelle disappears. Then they pull financial records, and they find 2 cash withdrawals from Evan's account. $12,000 on June 6th, $18,000 on June 7th. Large amounts, cash. And one more thing, a payment to a consulting company that doesn't exist. A shell, a fake name. But the payment method leads back to Evan. Detectives don't announce what they know. They wait, because pressure works better when people think they're safe. On June 15, Janelle is found. Not by a genius detective, by a property manager checking a storage building on the edge of town. A place with no customers, no activity. The back room is locked. Inside is Janelle. And the details tell investigators this wasn't random violence. This was controlled, targeted, planned. They pull forensic evidence. They pull prints. They pull DNA. And the most damning thing is something boring. The building is owned by Kessler Holdings, a property company connected to Evan, a place Evan had access to, a place Harold didn't even know still existed. And suddenly, the concerned family becomes the only logical motive. By June 20th, detectives have enough. Evan is arrested first, then Diane, then Carter. Each one insists, we didn't do anything, but I didn't touch her isn't a defense when the evidence points to conspiracy. Because the story isn't that they personally did everything. The story is that they made a decision and set it in motion. And then, months later, in court, the jury sees the ring footage. Those 19 seconds, the tear on Janelle's face, the way Harold wipes it. And the courtroom understands something simple. If this was manipulation, it was the slowest, most patient con job in history. No, this was love, and love made the family feel replaced. At trial, defense attorneys tried the usual strategy. No direct proof, circumstantial. She could have left voluntarily. He was confused. Then the prosecution plays the CCTV, and Harold takes the stand. He doesn't perform. He doesn't beg. He just says, my family didn't come back until they smelled money. The jury listens. Then they see the paper trail, the will change date, the sudden family meeting, the cash withdrawals, the property access, the phone activity gaps, and then the final crack. Carter, under pressure, takes a deal and testifies. He says Evan proposed the idea first. He says Diane knew. He says he helped coordinate. And when the jury hears that, deliberation doesn't take long. Sentencing happens in October 2024. Evan gets life. Diane gets decades. Carter gets less because of cooperation. Then comes the part that turns this from tragedy into something colder. Harold dies soon after, not because anyone touched him, because grief finishes what age starts. And now the will activates. Janelle is gone, so she can't inherit. But Evan and Diane were convicted in a conspiracy against her. So their inheritance is void. Just like the clause said, the estate doesn't go to them. It doesn't go to Carter either. It goes to charity, every cent. They destroyed a human life for money and ended with nothing. Remember the CCTV, the ring box, the tears, the kiss, a countdown hidden inside a normal moment. Because Janelle didn't know a receipt had already triggered panic. She didn't know a will had already been leaked. She didn't know family doesn't always mean safe. She thought she was walking into a future, but someone else had already decided she didn't get to have one. And all of it started with a ring.